Hey, Shalom, Shalom. It's your brother Raza Allah from GMS London Camp. First and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Blessings to the hopeful and sincere elect. And I just came across this still on the YouTube feed not too long ago, So I just want to do a quick admonishment type video, to, give brothers the warnings that blessed times are coming for the children of Israel, starting with the elect, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans that make up the 12 tribes, man. Beautiful times is ahead for us. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's coming from our Lord and Savior Yahweh Bashim, Yahweh Shai, Yahweh, who they ignorantly call God, and Yahweh Shai, the Lord and Savior of the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, who they ignorantly call JC or Christ. And he's going to set us up, man. He's going to exalt us and put us back on high. He's going to kick our enemies off their high horse, pursuant to Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 6 and 7. We've seen enemies, sitting on horses, which is the Edomites, these servants that are upon horses. And princes walking the servants upon the earth, which is us, the children of Israel, being in a low state, in this last captivity. And before we enter into the Lord's kingdom, the kingdom of plenty, the kingdom of being fruitful and multiplying in a righteous way, in righteous manners, to bring back the nation of Israel, the 2/3 that are going to be cut off on this side. We're going to replenish the earth once again in the new Garden of Eden. Once this place has been destroyed and America gets imploded by the ICBM missiles, in World War III, the War of Armageddon, the war to end all wars, man. And once the elect have been sifted up and, taken up into the chariots, so-called UFOs, the celestial bodies, and we receive them new celestial, extraterrestrial bodies of immortality, we're going to be fruitful, multiplying on the earth, man, as I said, man. And even before we get into the chariots, brothers are going to have many women, to basically, that's going to be saved through childbearing, as the scriptures say. So we're going to be, having pleasure and pleasure evermore in the kingdom of heaven once all is said and done, man, even before the nukes hit, as it tells you in Isaiah 4:1, 7 women shall take hold of one man. And what do you think those women are going to do with that one man? They're going to be fruitful and they're going to reprocreate, man. They ain't just going to be there just to be looking at, to stare at like an adamant object or mannequin. We're going to be utilizing these women's wombs, man, and bringing forth seed, because the man carries the seed and that needs to be planted in the earth, which is these women's incubators. These women's wombs, the matrix, as the scriptures call it, the matrix, man. It's talking about the woman's womb. So, yeah, man. Life is going to be restored for the children of Israel, man. All is not lost. That's why the Lord said that, all Israel shall be saved, and we're all going to be righteous in the kingdom of heaven to come. So, yeah, man, this is just a quick exhortation, should I say, not admonishment. Admonishment means a warning. There's exhortation, to build brothers up and know that, Esau's done. These so-called white people, they're through, they're toasted, and we're coming up and they're going down, man. So F these devils. So this is still the latest still that I saw. This 25-year-old woman, Jake woman, Israelite woman, sets the new Guinness World Record by giving birth to 9 babies at once. It says, and against all odds, everyone survived, man. Every single baby survived, man. By the blessings and power and grace of Yahweh and tender mercies of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, all the babies survived, man. Because usually the woman having that many babies, usually they get trouble just having 1 or 2, or triplets or, quadruplets. But usually twins is a hell of a problem for a woman to have without having a C-section or something. So I don't know how they got all them babies out if she didn't have to have a C-section or nothing. But all them babies survived and she survived. Usually a woman having that many births, she ain't going to make it, man. But the Lord had mercy, man. And this is just a clear example of how we're going to come back as a nation of people and we're going to replenish the earth, because these women are going to be used back to their natural use of being incubators for their husbands, starting with the Israelite man, and they're going to be in order, and we're going to be fruitful and multiplying at exponential rates, man, at a speedy rate, man, because the kingdom of heaven It is going to start by way when the chariots come. But when the chariots come, man, that's when the fun begins, man. For us. It's going to be damnation for the other nations and the 2/3, but that's really when the real fun begins for us, when we come out of them chariots, man, and we take over this globe, over this earth, and set it back right in order. So this is definitely a precursor of the future, to foreshadowing the things to come. Because a lot of jakes are going to get deleted, but we're also going to be able to replenish them, bring them back at a speedy race, man, because we're going to be superhuman as well. So these women that are going to be superhuman, they're going to have super extraterrestrial bodies. They're going to be dropping out these babies like droplets, man. Just dropping them out by the dozens, man, within 9 months or so. And they're going to have multiple babies. And it's not just all, we're not going to bring back the tribes by just having one woman, man. So you can get that shit out of your minds. Polygamy is a big thing. That's part of our culture of being an Israelite, man. A man having more than one wife, that's part of our culture. That's part of our heritage. You look at the renowned men of the scriptures, they all had multiple wives, whether it would be their handmaids, or the concubines, or the actual white Israelite nation wives. Starting from Father Abraham, his name even like as a nomen omen. Abraham, Abraham, which means exalted father, and then the Lord changed it from Abraham to Abraham to father of a multitude, if I'm saying it properly, Abraham, and and that means a multitude of nations. And what nation was the Lord dealing with? The nation of Israel. That's the chosen seed, the chosen line that the Lord used Abram to bring back the line, the lineage, basically, after the flood. So you had Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And that's the line of the promise of the kings, man. Of the nation of Israel, and through reincarnation, Father Abraham, father of greater multitude, father of many nations, he came back as an Israelite, just like Isaac came back as an Israelite, and Jacob, he's the father of the Israelites, man. So he's always going to be reincarnated in his lot. So man, this is just a spectrum of things to come. As I said, Abraham had three wives. He had Keturah, had 6 children by the woman Keturah. One woman by Hagar, his firstborn was by Hagar, which was Ishmael, and then he had Sarah, which was his main wife, who he had Isaac with, man. So those are the seed of the promise. And then he had Jacob. Jacob had Isaac only had one wife, as we know. That's read off in the scriptures. It was Rebecca. But Jacob had 4 wives, man. He had 2 concubines, Bilhah and Zilpah, and then he had Rachel and Leah as well, which brought forth the 12 tribes. And then Joseph, he had 2 separate sons by the way of the his Egyptian wife, Pharaoh's daughter, brought forth Manasseh and Ephraim, what makes up the whole 12 tribes. So, men of the Lord always were renowned for having multiple wives, man. It wasn't this book. The whole nation wasn't just birthed through this one man and one woman. That's just madness, man. This is basically a miracle for a woman to have 9 babies in her own womb. That's damn near likened to be a miracle, man. Because usually a woman can't bear that many children without her, putting her life in jeopardy or the baby's life in jeopardy. So this is basically a miracle of the Lord showing you that all things are possible with Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. As I said, in the kingdom we're gonna have multiple wives, man. King Solomon had 1,000 wives, 700 wives, and 300 concubines, and he had many children as well, man. And then you had King David, multiple wives, dealt with the other nations too, multiple concubines. So this is the seed. This is just a part of our traits, man, part of our culture of being an Israelite man. Polygamy is a major thing, and that's coming back in a major way. That's why Isaiah 4:1 is going to come into play. Because 7, Isaiah 4:1, 7 women taking hold of one man. 7 just means a complete number of women. So it can be between 7 or to 100 women. Who knows? But it's going to be a complete number of women that's going to be chasing down the Israelite man, because they're going to realize that the man is the prize and not the woman, as it tells you in Isaiah 13:12. So the man should be more precious than fine gold, golden wedge of Ophir, man. Not the woman. The woman's not the prize, man. The man is the seed bearer, the seed carrier, you know, carries it in his crown jewels, you know, the soul, his royal oats, as my man Prince Akeem would have been doing. You know, King Jaffrey Joe told his son to, you know, go and sow your royal oats, man, because the man carries the seed. You know, so yeah, man, this is beautiful times for the children of Israel, starting with the men of the Lord, the elect. You know, these are part of the perks that we're going to receive for the kingdom, man, to bring back forth the nation in the pleasure and the pleasure of doing so by having multiple wives and you know, having multiple intercourses with women that we desire, man. That's going to be our woman too. That's going to be pure. That's not going to be tainted and not going to be you know, used good, so to speak. They're going to be fresh. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick sit down, and I don't want to keep rattling on slack here for the little rant, but you know, yeah, man, beautiful times is ahead for the children of Israel, starting with the elect, man. So barakatah Yahweh Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem B'Chakadash. You know, because our slavery and our captivity, the time, you know, it's been accomplished, man. You know, and now it's time for us to be put back on high, man, and for our enemies to go through the curses, man, to be put on the bottom, especially Esau's wicked ass, because they're the basis of men. They're children of fools and they're viler than the earth. They need to go back to where they belong, which is the bottom, the basis of men. You know, this despicable, low scum life, you know, devils that they are, man. So Genesis 1:26, and it's and the power said, which is in the Hebrew, the word there for God is Allahayim. It's not talking about the Heavenly Father, it's talking about the angels and Yahweh Shai that created man in the Lord's image, you know. It said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let him have dominion over the fish in the sea, and over the fowl, and over the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Yeah, so the Lord installed man, you know, by way of you know, spiritual power, you know, and created man in his image. You know, the Lord, the Allahayim, should I say, created man in their image, and installed the wisdom and knowledge of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai in them to live uprightly, to live in a righteous state, basically, you know, and to follow the ways of righteousness, man, you know, and to have dominion over all creeping things on the face of the earth, because man is, you know, man is the leader, you know, man is the territorial leader on the earth, and everything underneath or created after that fact is supposed to be underneath the that man's obstruction ordinances, basically, you know, just like a Dr. Doolittle type of situation where man will, you know, conversate and talk to the animals and have them in order and so on and so forth. That's how Noah had it, you know, and that's how Adam had it in the beginning of time, so to speak, you know, before we started, you know, receiving the curses. So the powers created man in his own image. It says, in the image of the Most High, in the image of the powers created him, Salakia. In the image of the Allahayim, should I say, created he him. Male and female created he them. So it was a them. There was more than one male and more than one woman that was created. It was a multiple of nations that was created. 3 classes of men at that time. You had the sons of the wicked, which represents the Edomites today in the reincarnation. The sons of men, which are the NPCs, the other nations, you know, Arabs, Chinese, you know, Japhetic peoples, the Africans, so-called Hamites, you know, Hamites, so-called Africans, so on and so forth. And then you had the sons of God, which represents the children of Israel today. And it's all it's a nomen omen, because the sons of God translated in the reincarnation is Yasha Allah, which he means that he is a prince of the power, and a prince is a son of a god, son of a king. So that's, you know, it's the same like manner type of people with the same name that was given to them before and after the flood, symbolizing that there's a righteous seed that the Lord had chosen people that he had, you know, even before the earth was made. You know, it says a male and female created he them. So there was multitudes of nations that was on the face of the earth at the time when Adam and the Adamites was created, so to speak, which Adam just means from the ground, Adama, which means from the ground. It says and the powers blessed them, and the powers said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Yeah, so that's what man was made to do. But Esau, the so-called white man's the devil. What's he trying to do? To depopulate the earth, man. He's trying to sterilize men to stop men from procreating and having sex with, women. It would rather you have sex with an animal or an inanimate object like fucking virtual sex or robotniks. He'll rather have you have a virtual girlfriend than an actual physical wife, which you can actually plant seed in. He wants you to live in a demolition man type movie set where you're having sex with fucking through virtual sci-fi, virtual reality, and plastic objects and shit like that are not real. A plastic Barbie and shit. Because that's Esau for you. It's sick in the head. When the natural use of a man is to reprocreate and bring forth life. But he's trying to diminish and cut off life. Because he's the devil, man. So the Lord said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. So there is no such thing as overpopulation. This devil try to say, overpopulating the earth and all that. There's no such thing. The earth was made to be overpopulated, you morons. To subdue it and to have dominion over the fish in the sea and the fowls of the air and over the living thing that moveth upon the earth. Yeah, so that's it, man. On land and sea, man is supposed to be the head over all animals, man, over all creatures. So the power said, behold, I have given you the herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of the whole earth, every tree in which is in the fruit of the tree yielding seed, to you it shall be meat. Yeah, so we're supposed to be, eating the herbs of the earth, which comes from the, from the soil of the ground, man. Not all this fucking processed shit that Esau's got in the superstores, in the supermarkets, man. All this processed meat, and see this fucking fruit, which is not real fruit, man. It's all fucking Frankenstein laboratory food that's causing more harm than no good, causing more damage than good, man, for the body, because you ain't getting no nutrients from eating seedless fucking fruit, man. Seedless grapes, seedless watermelon. Like, Esau's the devil, man. How can you take the seed out of a fucking fruit, man? That means you gotta be the devil. That only the devil figures do is selling some seedless fucking fruit that's got no nutrients in it, that's gonna cause you more self-harm than any good that it can do for your body. Cause all kinds of cancerous cells to pulse up and all kinds of inflammation in the body. This Frankenstein meat you got out here. The other day they said they had to pull back all the beef over there, thousands of pounds of beef that had to be recalled because they got fucking antibiotics in the beef and shit like that, man. Esau's the devil, man. Food and Drug Administration. How the hell are you gonna put drugs in a man's food, man? What kind of shit is that, man? So you're just purposely poisoning, man. That's why the scripture says we shall eat our bread defiled amongst the heathen. We're literally eating shit, man, for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this is only by the will and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua that we're still alive, man. Because this devil is a harbinger of death for real, man. For pure disease warfare and eugenics dealing with this devil. Anyway, we digress. It's Isaiah 60, and the main point's in 22, but I just wanted to read into it. I'll read 21. It says, thy people also shall be all righteous. Yes, so all Israel is going to come back in the kingdom. Even the 2/3 that die on this side, they're all going to come back. Why? Because reincarnation exists, and this is why the man has to basically carries the seed in his bollocks, man, his gohonas, because through the man he can bring back the nation. And the greatest example of that is what? Noah's flood, man. At that time, you had probably millions upon millions of, nations of people on the face of the earth at that time, and the Lord killed everyone, even all the cattle that that was on land. Save 8 persons and the animals that the Lord told Noah to reserve on the ark. Through those 8 persons, the earth was repopulated, man, through the 3 sons of Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Just showing you that the man is more important than what? The woman. The woman is definitely needed, but she's not she's not as important as the man is. Because with one man, you can bring back a whole nation of people if the Lord wanted to, man. You know, um, they did it back then, and they were gonna do it again. When all these jakes are dropping dead and all that, left, right, and center, getting jacked up and judged, you know, and only the 144,000 get sifted up into the chariots, part of the 1/3. They're gonna come back down on the earth, and they're gonna they're gonna be fruitful and multiply all over again, even with the other nations' women's, man. That's why we're allowed to have concubines, because we can even bring back the nations through other nations' women. There's nothing wrong with that, as long as we ain't going out worshipping their gods and all that. That's the main thing. But we're gonna be, over these other nations, and we're gonna take their women into slavery, man, to captivity. And after 30 days, if they're mourning, they're dead, their loved ones and all of that, we're gonna go in onto them, and we're gonna have our way with them, man. And if we choose to bring back, choose to culminate a couple seeds out of that, that's exactly what's gonna happen, man. So the nation can be brought back very quickly, not just by the Israelite woman, but all the other nations' women too, concubines, man. So this is why it's going to be a speedy recovery of the children of Israel, and as the scripture says, they shall all be righteous, man, because Israel is going to come back in his right mind, in his right natural state. And it says in them new bodies, man, sin-proof. It says they shall inherit the land forever, because we're going to live forever. We're going to look. The sting of death is going to be passed on. We're not going to taste of death no more, because we're not going to commit sin. We're going to be all righteous, man. So shall be inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting and the work of mine hands, that I may be glorified. Yeah, because it's all about glorifying the names of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, to magnify those names, throughout the earth once again, just like in times past, man. It says a little one shall become 1,000, and this little one means that someone that's insignificant. And all Israelites are significant, but he's just labeling like the so-called, because you're gonna have levels of Israelite men, starting especially with the Lord's elect, the government. Those are going to be like the celebs in Israel. Then you're going to have the average citizen, average Joe, so to speak, average Israelite, but he's going to be well off. The average Israelite's going to be living like a Rothschild lives on this side, man. That's how the average Israelite's going to be living. So you can only imagine the celebs of the children of Israel, starting with the elect, the prophets, the apostles and the prophets of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, how they're going to be living. How they're going to be the renowned men of the land, so to speak, So the little one means someone that's, the average Israelite citizen. There's not going to be one poor Israelite ever in the kingdom of heaven ever again. Poverty is not going to be a thing for the nation of Israel. We're all going to be living rich and decadent and regal and royal. It says a little one shall become 1,000. So in the small one, a strong nation. So we're going to be pumping out them babies, man, and the pleasure of doing it through the act of sex, man. And that's a pleasurable, exercise that man partake in, to bring forth the nation, man. That's very good. That's very good. Very, very good. Like my man DMX would have said in that movie Belly, when he's talking to what's his name, Ox. He said, very, very good. So we're gonna be plenteous, man. We're gonna replenish this earth all over again, man. Within a drop of an eye, man. Within a drop of an eye. Within a snap of a finger, multiple jigs is just gonna be all over the damn place, man. We're gonna overpopulate that or the whole earth all over again. It says, and I the Lord shall hasten it in his time. Yes, it's gonna be sped. The Lord gonna speed this thing up. The Lord gonna make it quick, man. Before you know it, there's gonna be nations, tribes, it's all rebuilding all over again, man. Repopulating the earth. And we're gonna go into our prospective lands, and the Lord said he's gonna broaden our borders and all that, so we're gonna have plenteous of land to rule over, and then we're gonna have the whole earth, and then not just the whole earth, we got galaxies of planets that we got to rule over as well. As the Lord said, in my Father's house are many mansions, man. You go to prepare a place for us. So we're gonna inhabit the earth, and we're gonna inhabit all these different planets and stars and galaxies and all over the damn place, man. We're gonna take over this whole universe, man. It's gonna be an Israelite multiverse. if you will, man. A multiverse of Israelites ruling, everlasting rulership, man. You know, this beautiful times is ahead, man. This is why we have to fight for that penny, man. To fight the good fight of faith, to receive that crown of glory, man. You know, that incorruptible crown. That's what we're fighting for, man. So Abba is how we make it to the end. So Ezekiel 36 and last precept here, 33. Yeah, I read from 33. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, in the day that I have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the wastes shall be builded. Yeah, the land of Israel is going to be rebuilt after the nukes hit that place and cleanse it from all them desert rats, them small hat rats that are over there, them heathens that are defiling the Lord's land. That land's not going to be barren no more when we go back to it. It's going to go back to the land of milk and honey. You know, right now that land is a kibbutz. Nothing grows. The land's cursed because you got a cursed people over there known as the Edomites ruling over the Lord's land, man, defiling it, man. So the Lord needs to eradicate that virus of vermin over there by way of fire. It's the second death. And America's going to be totally engulfed in flames and never be rebuilt. No human being's ever going to live in the land of America ever again. That place is going to be a desolate land of destruction, man. An example of what happens to the wicked when they disobey Yahweh Shem Yahushua's commandments. That's what America's going to be an example of. But the lands that are going to be rebuilt over there in the Middle East, the Levant, mainly the land of Israel, is going to be rebuilt by the heathen, man, because we're going to put them into captivity. And they're going to build up the fallen walls and the wastelands and the cities, as it says here. It says they shall dwell in the cities and the waste shall be builded. It says, and the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by. It says, and they shall say, this land that was desolate has become like the Garden of Eden. So we're going to have a new Eden, a new Idan, which means a place of paradise, a place of pleasure for the children of Israel to re-inhabit and rule over, man. And it's going to be more, greater than the first Idan, first Eden, the first garden that was planted eastward in the land of Eden, man. The whole earth was called Eden at that time, but there was a land planted in the Garden of Eden, eastward in Eden, which was the land of Israel as we know it today. Mesopotamia, the Levant, and all of that. It says, and the waste and the desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. Yes, we're going to inhabit that land all over again. It's going to be beautified, And it says, then the heathen that are left round about, ye shall know that I am the Lord. I, the Lord, build the ruined places and plant that was desolate. And I, the Lord, have spoken it, and I will do it. Yes, these heathens, because they're going to be in captivity, and they're going to build the wasteland. They're going to build the waste cities, because they're going to be in slavery, man, starting with the wicked elite. The ones that are on the high and mighty ones right now, the 1%, the oligarchs of society, ruling this place in straight up wickedness. They're going to be the first, crop of slaves in the Lord's kingdom, man, the kingdom of heaven. And they're going to go through rigor, just like we went through the rigor. They're going to go through hell and high waters to build up the Lord's kingdom, man. And they're going to do it quickly too. And everything's going to be precise and in perfection, man. And then we're going to work these devils to death, literally, man. And bring them back and put them back out there in the fields to go to work, man. There's going to be plenty of work for them to do. It says that we're going to search out men for continuing employment. So there's always going to be work for these devils to do, man, for 1,000 years straight of hardcore slavery, man, for the Edomites and these other nations. And then Esau's going to be gathered up and rounded up, pursuant to Obadiah 1:18, and being exterminated off the face of the earth. Because by then his service is going to be utilized, man. There's not going to be no need for Edomite to be on the earth at that time. After 1,000 years, his services would have been, done away with. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahushua, I will yet for this be inquired of the house of Israel, by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. Yeah, so the Lord going to increase us, man. It says, as the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in a solemn feast, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men. Yeah, so we're gonna repopulate the earth all over again. And and it starts off with the men. And the men are the heads, you know. The men are the head of the household. Men wear the trousers, so to speak. So the Lord gonna reestablish the man as the prize on the earth, and you women are gonna go back into their subordinate roles and being submissive underneath their husbands, man. Righteous order. There ain't no toxic relationships and all that BS talk, feminism, all that shit's gonna die here, man. All that shit's gonna get burnt out with the lake of fire. Feminism and all that toxic talk and all this BS that they push over here. That filthy fornication that's in that cup, man. That got all the earth drunken. Especially these people over here, these women and men over here in the West. You know, all that shit's gonna be done away with, man. Everything's gonna go back into its natural order. Man ruling over his household and the woman taking orders and being subordinate to her husband, man. Reverencing her husband. And the man reverencing Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai. It says, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Yeah. It's an order, and the force is gonna be restored, man, in a major way. And examples like this, man, this is just an example of foreshadowing of things to come, man. Our women are going to be in their right minds. They're going to be put back in an orderly state. And they're going to be utilized as the Lord made them to be a help unto their husbands, man. The Lord said that you're supposed to be a helpmeet unto your husband, you know. So that's exactly what you're going to do. And we're going to have fun, reprocreating and bringing back that life of the Israelite sons and daughters on the earth, man, you know, through the pleasure of intercourse. Fruitful intercourse, man. And it's definitely going to be fruitful, man. So, only way is up, So watch this space, man. So anyway, with that, hopefully, brothers and sisters, I give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakach Kodash, and Shalom to the hopeful and sincere elect.